Okay, so let's start from these points. Okay, so the first point is files. So the source files and the class files in Java we have. So their extension should be dot Java and dot class correspondingly. That is here mentioned as suffix. Um, so source file has extension called dot Java and class file has class. So you can see here, uh, you can see here we have a class called main, and it has an extension called uh, dot Java. It's a main dot Java file. As a student or as a programmer, I can argue that okay, what would happen if I just create a class? I can create a class, and I would like to call it main.txt, and I want all these codes there, and um, I can say, oh, why don't this code runs? Okay, why not? This is a valid Java source because these contents are looking like a Java source code. Exactly, it is, but it is not a Java content until it is placed in a proper file. So our source file needs to be called .java file. Okay, and we all know that. Okay, when we when we compile the source code, we get this class file generated. So if intentionally we try to change that and then try to run that, that's not going to run. And even if we are going to write our own Java implementation, okay, if we are going to create something over Java, so we need to remember that we need to create the compiled classes with as a dot class file. Okay, fine. Now the second thing is there are some common file names. So some common files. What are some common files? Basically, this point is about naming convention of the common files in the Java project. So basically, there are some common files in the project that may related to building the project or some additional information, providing some additional information like this readme.md. Okay, this readme file needs to have the same naming convention, and we are currently looking at this readme, whatever this content is written in that readme.md file. Okay, so we need to follow that naming convention. This JNU make file is a beginning era of building the applications. It's like C plus plus uh, age of making a building project. So Java was in the beginning having some. I did not really work on that. Okay, but I have researched something on Google, and it says it's a make file. It is used to make the project, build the project. So that file name should be the same. And today we have pom.xml, Gradle, and this and has that build.xml. Uh, if you are a little experienced, you might know about the end build tool. Okay, so that used to have a build.xml file. So these build project and provide additional files which are common to the project, that needs to follow the same naming convention. Okay, nice. Okay, now we are going to file organization. Okay, so here the first point is a file has multiple sections that is separated by the blank line. What does it mean? let's say I have created a class called a public service IMPL, implementing an interface. Let's say it has two methods. Okay, one implementation here. Okay, let's create one more method. Mm, private string format, something like that. Okay, so let's create the constructor also. Mm, Public backup service IMP. Okay, what here we observe is that um, this class declaration and after a blank line, and after that we have this constructor. After that we have a blank line and we have a method. Okay, and after that we have a blank line and we have another method, and so on, you know. So uh, so this is like, you know, our file, our source file is separated in multiple sections. Okay, now let's go to the next point. A file more than 2000 lines, 2000 lines, okay, remember this, a file having more than 2000 lines of code should be avoided. Excuse me. So as a good practice, you might have already know these guidelines rules that okay, we should not write that too large file. That's not good at all actually, because and why it is not good. See, a software is written by a team, not a single person. Okay, so if we try to write everything in one file, what would happen? The first thing we would be facing problem in changing the file. Okay, and we would not be able to fully exploit that, you know, software design following that principles. Okay, like, you know, we would not be able to exploit fully the oops. Further, there are a lot of design patterns that's not, you know, good idea, and changing to the code itself would be a problem. Like you are working in the same class and I am working in the same class. Let's say I'm working for this method, you are working for this method, another person is working for this method. So it's not good idea to write everything uh, everything uh, in a single file. So whenever it is saying here, like, you know, you should not have the large file, 2000 lines of code. What does it mean if you are writing something, some class more than 2000 lines? When that means you are trying to add everything there. Okay, that's a bad practice. That means it will always be, you know, like a situation like multiple people working on that same file, uh, knowingly, unknowingly. Like maybe, excuse me, maybe I have written, let's say, 20-50 methods here in this class. Maybe I am assigned a task which does not intended to, you know, work in this class. I may be working for another class. Okay, another task, but and which I'm working for another piece of task and my colleague is working for another piece of task that is separately uh, two different class. Okay, but whatever the class we are working, calling these functions. Okay, and while implementation of that class we got chance like okay, I need to change this method, I need to make some implementation change of this method. So there would be very much chances, like, you know, multiple people changing the same source file if you are accommodating lot of source code in single file. Okay, so avoid that. Okay. Excuse me. Public class or interface is the first class. That means what? Um, we have in Java, yes, this is the example that I created, I think. Um, we save the file name with this class name. It's a main Java main class. We have a class called public class main. Okay, and that's why our file name is created with this class name, this main.java. Uh, um, Sorry, I have to say like this. If we have multiple class in our source file, so for what name we should create that file. We should create that file for this file name, I mean this class name. Okay, that's why it's saying like public class or interface is the first class, means preference should be given to this public class or interface. Okay, here also class is that. Okay, I can have multiple more private class and something like that. Okay, private class, another class, another class, sorry. Okay, so when this is a situation, I should not be get confused like, okay, should I save this file name, source file with this class name or this class name? No, it is going to be this class name, which is public class. Okay, if I have to save this source file name, main, I mean, what should I give the name to this source file? That will be given to this public class name. But although these days we create the file name in the ID, and that says give the name first, so it comes to us giving the class name first. Okay, giving the class name first. So even in that condition, don't get confused. If you have a class design in your mind, so we need to, even if you have the class design same something like this in your mind, so the class name will be given to this, the source file name will be given to this.